to a special meeting of the School Bond Advisory Board. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2018 meeting, and I'd recognize a motion to that effect. It's been moved. Need a second, please?
Second.
Need a second. We'll vote. Approved. We have to receive the Independent School District number 89, 2007, and 2016 school bond issue financial information. Who's going to handle that?
Information is presented to you in the normal format. We have representatives from the school district can answer any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll recognize a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We now have a consent docket, and because of some things going on in it, I'm going to say A through D are the ideas or the issues that we would like to make as part of the consent docket, and I recognize a motion that they be approved. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote on the 4, A, B, C, and D. Approved. Next, E is recommending the Independent School District number 89 approve the purchase of professional services utilizing 2016 bond issue, school bond issue funds in the amount of $82,700. Are there any comments?
What we have here is a contract for professional services that the school district would like to enter into to enable them to better respond to open records requests. And we have a representative from the school district here if you'd like any additional questions, answers on that.
So it's a software system?
It's a professional services consulting contract to basically be able to go through the emails and search them and then provide quicker responses to open records requests. My understanding of the item.
But does this fall under capital improvement projects, or why would this come to our purview? I thought we were doing.
It's utilizing the bond funds, and I think that this is a function, use of the bond funds that is approved in the scope that was outlined in the bond issue itself.
Just to make us more efficient, basically, as we spend the bond money.
We have, is Scott? I don't know where Scott went.
Who's here to answer some questions?
Oh, we had Scott Randall, but I don't. Excuse me?
Finance department, so I see all of these things as well, and Scott unfortunately had to leave. This is covered under Prop 2 under the
Microphone.
I'm sorry, this is covered under Prop 2 for the technology piece. It's part of the infrastructure or other technology section. What we've done is we've moved to Gmail, and this is a system that is going to allow us to store our data and allow us to pull it for open records requests.
Professional services.
This is the company.
On a basis or an ongoing basis?
This is a one-time move.
Any other questions? Thank you. Recognize a motion for approval.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Vote. Approved. Next item, number F, we've separated it out because Mr. McLaughlin is going to have to abstain in this instance because he is the No, I'm sorry, my fault, my fault, not a surprise. I'm seeing it for the next one, okay. We have another item from the consent docket to recommend Independent School District number I-89 approve the wireless access points utilizing 2016 school bond issue funds, $770,470.50. Recognize a motion for approval.
So we're just expanding the ability to get Wi-Fi in the building?
There are, they currently have about 2,400 of these, and they're in the process of replacing them. And so what this is going to do, there's already, last year they replaced 1,424 of these, and so this is like the second phase of the replacement. And they're also able to utilize some E-rate funding, some federal funding. So what they're going to do is this authorizes the purchase of the full amount, and then once that is, they're purchased, it's a reimbursement grant, so then they'll file for a reimbursement in the amount of $569,105. So the net cost will end up being, after being reimbursed, $201,365. So.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We now have a presentation for the approved final plans and specifications for the I-89 2007 school bond issue project S701B, Wilson Elementary School Gymnasium.
We have Jack Joyner with JHBR.
Yes.
Give our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Joyner, for being here.
Thank you. As you said, my name is Jack Joyner with JHBR Architecture. This is the presentation for Wilson Elementary School Gymnasium. This is the final design presentation. We're seeking approval so that we can move through the bidding process on this project. Real quick, this is a site plan. The dark blue is the existing Wilson Elementary. The light blue is the gymnasium and shelter addition that we're adding to the site. Anything you see in kind of the pink colors, new paving, new basketball court, sidewalks, and then you see a green box, which is actually a covered canopy into the storm shelter gymnasium. There'll be no new parking. You can see a relocated playground equipment, a new dumpster location, several site improvements as we do this addition. This is the floor plan. Once again, you see the gymnasium, markings as it would be for the gymnasium and the play area. We have a multi-purpose room, office, boys and girls restrooms, a storage room, fire riser, electrical, and janitor's closet in the new addition. The entire thing, the gymnasium and the support spaces that you see in the orange-pink area, that's also a storm shelter, so the entire thing is FEMA rated. Once again, you see the green covered canopy gets you into the gymnasium. The pink color again, you see the new basketball court. As a result of this, we have to replace the one that's there. New paving again. We have an alternate number 1, which is to relocate the dumpster, create an enclosure, create a drive, fence modifications, and sidewalk modifications that are part of that alternate. This is just looking northwest. You can see the materials, the design will mimic the existing Wilson Elementary, so it looks like it's one contiguous campus. This is the entry, the covered canopy to the gymnasium that you see. This is looking from, I believe, Dewey, southeast. You can see the new addition, once again on the left-hand side, that's the gymnasium. We do actually have windows in this gymnasium as a request from the public, concerned citizens. And then you see a relocated playground to the right. This is just a further back look so that you can see the situation on the site, and you can see the amount of existing playground to remain. This is the interior. School colors, the yellows, the light, the dark blues, the Wilson Wolves, the nice graphic. You can see, once again, the natural light, markings on the floor, basketball goals. This is just a copy of the color boards. You can see we worked with school staff and picking out these colors and finishes. And then we've got cost estimate wise, you see the original program budget, a little over 1.9 million. The estimate proposed is 2.3. The reasons for that, we're in a historical preservation district, so we do have a higher standard of finishes to provide on this project. So you see that the estimate compared to the budget is over by about $384,000. There's the add alternate number 1, the new dumpster enclosure, which is a drive, fencing, pilasters, sidewalks. You see the total is $90,579. And then as far as the project schedule, bidding here today. After this, we'll go to the Board of Education on the 16th, advertise for bids, and then have our bid opening on August 22nd. We'll move into contracts and approvals, which will take us through October 1st. And the construction, if all goes well, knows to proceed on October 2nd, 2018. Will take 1 full year to complete. If you have any questions, I can answer those.
Is this in line with the rest of the gyms that we've been building? It seems higher. Is it just because we're in a historical preservation area? We seem to be doing a lot more for this school.
I mean, that's part of it. That's part of it. One of the reasons we're over the original budget, too, is because the original budget didn't contemplate the construction of a safe room. So some of the projects that were done prior to the district making the decision to go with safe rooms everywhere were less also. But this one, because of things like the fence and some of the finishes on the brick and things like that in historic areas are unique. I think there's been a lot of concern from parents too, a lot of input as far as and neighbors as far as how the school will be constructed.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Other questions?
Is the playground part of the, because it looks like that's being relocated? That's part of it. Is that?
Yes, it has to be removed by our contractor. I think there's a separate funding source. They're going to get a new playground. We'll coordinate that to where it all opens at the same time.
So this is not paying for the new playground?
No,
Or the removal of the playground?
it's for the removal. I think that's correct still, Steve, right? So they have another funding source, a grant of some kind, I believe, that pays for a new playground, so they wanted to utilize that grant.
So none of the rest of the new gyms that we've been putting in have safe rooms?
No, they do. But in the beginning of the 2007 bond issue, some of the initial projects, there weren't ones that came before this board, but before the OC Maps Trust. When those were not the safe room projects. And then I forget, there was, I think, about a dozen or so that were constructed when the decision was made after the tornadoes to go with safe rooms everywhere. So everything that's come before this body has been with a safe room.
And this one just seems higher than the ones that we've even voted on here.
And I could get you some square foot cost. I mean, Wayne or Jason, do you have any historical information about relative cost? Or?
Jackson, I think this being a historical neighborhood area, we made a lot of accommodations for the community that came forward wanting us to do maybe some special amenities in the facilities that we didn't have in some of the others. This gym is actually also a little bit smaller, but yet due to the additional windows that they wanted to place in this facility, it being a storm shelter, we had to beef up the structural elements of the building. So the structure of the building had to be unique because of the amount of windows we added to it. And that added quite a bit of cost.
Other questions? Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'd recognize the motion to approve. It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Moving into item number 6, recommend acceptance of the donation of architectural and engineering services of the plans and specifications, and recommend approval of the final plans and specifications, I-89 2007 school bond issue project S16-1 athletic fields at Southeast and U.S. Grant High Schools. And Mr. McLaughlin will have to abstain this time because he is in the middle of the donation. Are there any questions about this?
We also have a presentation.
We also have a presentation.
We've got Heath Tate with MA+.
That's correct. So what you're going to see, you've got the handouts of the presentation in front of you as well, but I'll go through this real quick. So what you're going to see is a site plan for Southeast High School. That's the first one. What we're coming in and working on is providing a new football field, a new track around it. The football field will be a turf, artificial turf field, and then we're building up for the track, doing quite a bit of grade work. Now, this site has already had some work done on it, as you're aware. I mean, Fields and Futures has come through and done a lot of work on schools around the district. What's happened here already is that the baseball and softball fields have already had improvements made. And that was done outside. That's not part of this contract. I'm just telling you what's already been done at the site. So the work at the football field, the track, and then we're recoding the tennis courts. We're not providing new, just recoding and providing new fencing and chain link fabric around there. We'll basically complete the improvements at this site. And so that's the work you're seeing going on here in this plan. The following plan at U.S. Grant, we're coming in and providing a turf football field and then a running track here as well. Now, they currently have a running track here, but it's an asphalt track, so it's not really up to par with what current running tracks are around the district. On the following pages, you'll see some pictures of these different sites, starting with Southeast. This kind of gives you an idea of what the football field looks like. It's in poor condition. It's not a level surface. The running track, it was never actually installed. The grading was done for it, but it's basically overgrown with grass, and you can see the path, but it's basically not a running track anymore. This is just another picture on the next page of the Southeast football field. Again, you've got a better view here of some of the unevenness of the field. Then we're showing the Southeast tennis courts. The concrete's actually in pretty decent condition. So all we're coming back in with is recoating it, providing that playing surface that's good for grip, good for traction. We're providing netting and then the chain link and fabric around the perimeter. And then starting at U.S. Grant, this is a picture of the track surface and the football field. The field here is in a little bit better condition than what you saw at Southeast, but it's still, there's some unevenness to it. The running track, again, is asphalt, which is not good. Should anybody ever fall while running, they'll skin up their legs and knees pretty poorly or pretty badly, and you can't host any events. This is just another view of the field, just showing the condition that basically we're coming in and repairing. Now, the last view, I just wanted to talk briefly. I know you're probably aware of some of the improvements made around the district. This is sort of an example at Star Spencer of what we've done and kind of what the goal is. So the fields you're seeing here were actually done by Fields and Futures. The football field, the track was redone, the baseball and softball fields were redone, and then afterwards we came in to kind of complete the project. Now, this is just an example of how we work through this with Fields and Futures, but we bid out the locker room addition here, which was recently completed this spring. And so Fields and Futures comes in, does as much work as they can fund, essentially, and then we come in and complete the project. And that's essentially what we're doing at Southeast and at U.S. Grant as well. What we're showing for an estimate, Southeast track and field is budgeted at $1.5 million, and that's based on recent data of what we're seeing for track and field construction. The same way with U.S. Grant, 1.5. Now again, those are synthetic track surfaces, turf football fields, artificial turf football fields. So
And then the southeast tennis courts, we do believe this number may be a little on the high end, but that's kind of our safety factor as far as what it's going to cost to recoat those surfaces and provide new chain link and new tennis equipment as well. So all told, we're budgeting about $3.5 million for all of this work. That's what we're proposing to bid out. The project schedule for this is after approval or assumed approval, it'll go to the Board of Education on the 16th. We'll advertise between the 18th and bid on August 15th. In the meantime, we'll also have a mandatory pre-bid meeting with contractors who are interested in this work to show them the sites, walk through with them, and answer any questions they've got. And then bid on the 15th is the plan right now. And that brings me to the conclusion of the presentation.
Are there any questions?
Can I ask a question? I know you probably
Sure.
Okay, good. How we're cruised, I need I can't call, what was the width of the fields, the football, soccer field, do you recall?
Off the top of my head, I think we were around the 160, is that right, for width? And then a typical running track sizes for, I believe it was a 400-meter track around both fields.
It's good to know the details of that. On the, so the goal is to be ready for the spring season and kind of beat the winter and not mess up the spring sports.
That is correct.
Tennis and soccer. Right.
That is correct. And what is written into the contract right now, we're requiring that contractors be done December 15th. And then we have liquidated damages on top of that if they run over that time frame.
So if we're getting kind of winter, the track is, you put the track in after the field, correct?
That is one concern that we've got. The track and field surfaces have to have certain temperature ranges, and that's really 50 degrees or higher is the way it's written into our specs. Different manufacturers have different requirements, but basically they're saying 4 days and 50 degrees or higher. And the worry there is, we can have a really hard cold snap and 1 or 2 days of 50 degrees, but the ground is still too cold. It hasn't warmed up enough yet, so that's why they put that requirement on there.
Other questions?
Football and soccer field?
Yes, it would be.
So we're approving today just the donation of the services. But this is how, the 3.5 million is what it's going to cost the bond in the long run, is that correct?
That's the estimate.
The actual
That's the
construction?
estimate, yes.
The estimate?
Yeah, the value of the donation was $83,573 in engineering and design that the school district won't have to do. So that's the amount of the savings from the donation. And then this item also
So
approves.
who's putting this out to bid? The school, the city, this firm?
I mean, it is a school district project, but our office will be coordinating the actual bidding of the project and receiving and tabulation of the bids. And this does approve that the bids, that the project be bid.
The city still. This is,
Well, the city will approve the bids.
the city, we will approve the final bid at
Yeah.
this board meeting?
Yeah, we'll review the bids, make sure that they meet specifications, and then we'll bring that back before you for a
So they're thinking about dates in December and track 5 days. Boy, anytime we can gain, get moving faster, you're going to get a better chance of getting that track done than you could be going in the spring. It's 5 days of 50 degrees, 4 days of
Four.
it's scary in December. I love that, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
It's in, actually, Jason, we were kind of talking about, when's that next, is that, do we say the 13th is the next potential board meeting for the school? Yes, sir. So if we could go a couple days ahead, and then that might, I don't know if we can work on a schedule or something to pick up because that picks up 3 weeks, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we're going to talk internally and see what we can do and let you know.
Okay. Good, good. Because right now, we'd be hoping that we would just miss the board meeting, so we've gone another month.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I'll read the item again. Recommend acceptance of the donation of architectural and engineering services of the plans and specifications, and recommend approval of the final plans and specifications, I-89 2016 School Bond Issue Project, SB 16-001, athletic fields at Southeast and U.S. Grant High Schools. And I would recognize a motion for approval. There's been a motion to approve. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. We did it with one abstention. Any comments by board?
Did we end up agreeing on the last conversation that Roy brought up was kind of agreeing on an amount that the school district would proceed forward and come back with the consent? Is that what that all was at the very beginning there? Move forward, got it done, and then that fit within the parameters? I don't think there was ever a parameter laid out.
You familiar with that? I'm not.
I don't know if that ever got settled.
I'm not aware that that's a parameter has been reached at this time. I think that's something that David and Scott are still working on, to my knowledge. Is that?
How's it, Scott recommended number then, and how does that work?
I haven't talked to David about it. David and Scott will discuss it. There has already been a resolution of how it's to proceed. If it's an emergency, it can go ahead and go to the school board first and then come through here, and you can choose to ratify it. So that's all you always have that option.
Right, I know we had that. I think we were trying to figure out ones that, hey, why are we looking at $6,000 type projects?
Right.
And we don't want to slow down, especially, thinking about the summers, we're in time to be doing construction, so, they got to wait on timing and us, and they go to the school board and say, hey, accelerate this, come back with here's what we did.
Currently, the agreement says we're supposed to review everything that comes by. But like I said, if there's ever an emergency, they always have that option.
Well, I was just, that last discussion we had, was like,
Yes.
something, we're going to come up with something. So that's what I was asking.
Yeah, and I don't think it has been worked out yet. When David's back, I'll talk to him again and see if there's anything.
Any other comments by staff? Citizens? Seeing none, thank you for being here. We are adjourned.